directed by George Clooney, written by Charlie Kaufman, who was already having a pretty good year at the end of the year with adaptation coming out. This is based off of Chuck Barris's 1984 unauthorized autobiography of the same name, which he claimed to be an assassin for the CIA, in addition to his show business career, and those allegations have since been denied by the CIA. Barris, throughout his life, generally refused to say whether the claim was true or not, and you have Sam Rockwell as Chuck Barris, and you see Drew Barrymore, Julia Roberts, and George Clooney among the cast in the film. And this was a film that was very much in development hell for a number of different years. I mean, this thing goes all the way back to the 1980s when the book came out. I mean, Columbia Pictures was originally going to do it, and then a couple years, about a decade later, it was purchased by somebody else. And they had all these different directors involved. David Fincher was attached at one point, Brian De Palma, Bryan Singer. There was a number of different actors, Mike Myers, Ben Stiller, Johnny Depp. And George Clooney came on board to direct and actually brought Chuck Barris in here to provide additional authenticity, even though it's been pretty much determined that it was probably BS overall. But it does make for an intriguing movie overall. I mean, the film really is good. And for somebody like George Clooney, who has never directed a movie up to this point, it definitely shows the signs that, hey, he's got some directing chops. And he would later show that down the road with Good Night and Good Luck, and then Leatherheads, and then The Ides of March. His last movie, Downsizing, wasn't that great overall, but he's made a pretty good career of directing movies in general. But yeah, everything up to I'm looking at his directing films here, and everything after. And no, he didn't do Downsizing. He did Suburbicon, but came out the same year, but kind of had the same taste of this wasn't that great overall. In fact, most of his movies that he directed after The Ides of March were not great overall. The Monuments film was kind of a disappointment. Suburbicon, The Midnight Sky, The Tender Bar. The Other Boys in the Boat, though, isn't bad, though. I haven't seen that one yet, but as far as this one goes, it works very well. Sam Rockwell does a very good job playing the role of Chuck Barris. Julia Roberts, Drew Barrymore, George Clooney, they all act very well here. It's a nice film that looks like a crime comedy straight out of the 1970s. I mean, it's a film that definitely knows how to make the 1960s and 70s look like they do here, even though this is made in 2002. They did a great job with the period piece aspect of it. It's a really good film, a criminally underrated movie in my opinion. It's a film that doesn't get the proper respect I think it deserves, but it definitely shows what George Clooney is capable of as a director overall, and I think it's a very good film overall. So I do recommend Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and it's the first of the many, many, many Disney sequels we're going to get to here. Let's start off with the one that came out first, and that is Cinderella 2, Dreams Come True.
It was the moment that changed her life forever, taking her to a place she'd never been, to a life she dared only dream about. Discover what comes after Happily Ever After, as Walt Disney's most enchanting fairy tale continues. Cinderella 2, Dreams Come True. The life of an ordinary girl becomes extraordinary in an all-new full-length adventure.
I have to try this my way.
Featuring your favorite characters from one of Disney's greatest treasures, Cinderella.
Maybe it's time to start following your heart.
Now this is more like it.
And a new rendition of the Oscar-nominated classic, Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, together with 3 brand new songs. The magic lives on.
Someday I'll get this princess thing right.
I think that day is today. Cinderella 2, Dreams Come True. Premiering only on Disney DVD and video, February 26, 2002.
And I think I know why there's so many different movies here. Most of the movies that we're going to look at today have been mostly direct-to-video sequels that are technically not movies in general. They're mostly anthologies. Some you can even make the argument that they're mostly just episodes of a TV show, which we'll get to those down the road, especially later on in the year. But yeah, this is definitely one of those ones that feels like a film that is really feels like it was supposed to be the intended pilot for a TV series. You have 3 segments featuring Cinderella planning a party, Jack the Mouse being turned into a human and living as Cinderella's page boy, and one of Cinderella's brutal stepsisters, Anastasia, reaching her redemption through falling in love with a young baker, a low-class man of whom Lady Tremaine and Drizella do not approve of. And yeah, it got a bad rap when it came out. Most people who saw the film gave it really negative reviews overall, and a lot of people really do hate this movie, but I don't know. I thought it was alright for what it was. Yeah, it's not a great movie per se, but honestly, it's not as bad as I think people let on. Yeah. There's definitely some signs here that this felt like the remains of a rejected TV show, but honestly, I didn't really have a problem with it in this movie. I know we had Belle's Magical World, which was kind of bad a couple years ago, and then later on in the year, like I said, we're going to have a couple of movies that are very much like a rejected TV series and putting all the episodes together into one movie. Yeah, it really isn't great overall, but I thought it was overall really good. I thought the animation overall was pretty good. They got some really good voice actors to do these roles now, considering that the original Cinderella came out in the 1950s, and then you have Jennifer Hale, who you've seen as a prolific voice actor on many things, most notably the Powerpuff Girls. She does a pretty good job of handling the role of Cinderella here, and I think everybody in here does a really good job of keeping in the way that you would think that this, like, I know it's completely different actors, but it does feel like they sound closer to who the original actors and actors were in the 1950s version. They do a pretty good job of handling that. There are some intriguing stories in here. Probably the best one overall is the redemption arc for Anastasia. Like, I like that these sequels have been able to continue her arc overall, that she's not really a bad person overall. And I like how this was the start of it, and then Cinderella 3, that's where they really kind of turned it around. Which I gotta say, Cinderella 3 was the one that I always used to hate. That was always the one that I used to feel like was the weakest of the three films. We'll eventually get to that one once we reach 2008, but I'm going to tell you right now, my viewpoint has kind of changed on a little bit here. I don't think it's as bad as I made it out to be. I can see why everybody likes that one over this one easily, and I would say I would tend to agree with it now. But we'll save that for about 6 years' time when we get to 2008. But I really don't get why this one gets such a beating, though. It's not a bad movie. I mean, they put out worse direct-to-video movies, and this one certainly doesn't belong on that list. One movie that deserves to be on that list, though, is our next movie, and that is one that literally came out a month after this one did, and that is The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2.
Return to all the wonder and majesty of Disney's classic masterpiece as the story continues in an all-new animated movie, The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2, featuring the returning all-star voice talent of Demi Moore, Kevin Kline, Tom Hulse, and introducing Haley Joel Osment as Zephyr and Jennifer Love Hewitt as Quasimodo's new friend, Madeline.
Yeah, when you think of the worst Disney direct-to-video sequels, this will usually be at the top of the list. And I can't say I can't argue that. I really cannot, because it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So in the sequel, now that Frollo is gone, Quasimodo rings the bell with the help of his new friend and Esmeralda and Phoebus' little son, Zephyr, played by Haley Joel Osment. Oh, I'm sorry, introducing Haley Joel Osment, because, you know, clearly he hadn't been anything of noteworthiness before this, not The Sixth Sense or AI Artificial Intelligence and all that. This is the first time we're introducing him to the movies, and yeah, that's I always found that kind of amusing. But when Quasi stops by a traveling circus owned by an evil magician played by Michael McKean, he falls for Madeline, voiced by Jennifer Love Hewitt, who's his assistant. The greedy Saroche forces Madeline to help him steal the cathedral's most famous bell. And like I said, whenever anybody talks about the bad Disney direct-to-video sequels, this is usually one of those big ones to try to avoid, and for good reason, because it's pretty bad. For starters, I think the trailer pretty much shows you everything wrong with the movie. One, it shouldn't exist. Two, the animation looks like something on a scale of a TV show instead of the grandiose spectacle of the first movie. I mean, there are still shots in that first Hunchback of Notre Dame movie that are still amazing to watch, even after all these years. This, I couldn't believe that TMS, of all studios, was the animation company behind this. I mean, I think Doug Walker made the point that it feels like a movie that would have been on the Disney Afternoon, because they did a lot of the Disney Afternoon shows, TMS did. And you don't hire TMS to do animation like this. This is the studio that did Akira. This is the studio that did Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, Gargoyles, Batman, DuckTales. They've done way better than this. You don't hire them to do a movie like this. The story is really lame, too. We're basically doing the same story structure with the first movie, except with a love interest for Quasimodo now involved. And I don't have a problem with giving Quasimodo a love interest. Let him fall in love with somebody. But the way this movie does it, there's no thought or creativity to it whatsoever. It's just, let's rehash the first movie all over again, add a few little cheap changes to it, And let's have the lie reveals, because we think it's an original story, or at least we're going to make you think it's an original story. And lo and behold, this is what we get here. Here's the biggest thing about this whole thing. This thing wastes the entire cast from the first movie. A lot of the cast, all-star cast too. I mean, we're not just talking about stock characters overall. No, they had the nerve to bring back Kevin Kline and Demi Moore to be in this movie, to serve no purpose whatsoever. They literally do nothing in this. They are really thrown off to the side in this one so much that you have to wonder what the hell they were thinking, bringing them back for just these minuscule lines. They hardly say a damn thing in this. I mean, it's like when they brought Jodie Foster in to do the voice of Maggie for a 30-second bit on The Simpsons during the dark years, if you will. I mean, it just feels really pointless. Yeah, Tom Hulse has a reason to be there. He's Quasimodo. But Demi Moore and Kevin Kline? Like, I mean, you gotta give them more than that. These are two... I mean, Kevin Kline's an Academy Award winner. Demi Moore is one of the big movie stars of the time period. I mean, it's just like, what are they doing here? But the music overall is very generic and cliche, too. I'll give the film this, though. The score, I think, is very good. The score by Carl Johnson, who did Gargoyles, it's nicely done. And, I'm not gonna lie, I really like this song. So yeah, chalk that one up into the category of surprisingly really good songs and terrible, terrible movies. You know, it kind of reminds me of that song that they added into the live-action Aladdin remake, which is not a bad song. The song's Speechless, and it's not a bad song, just not the best placement in the movie, because literally after that song takes place, the whole thing is just immediately tossed aside, and they just go back to doing the thing that they did before, and the song becomes absolutely pointless. I mean, it's pointless in the movie, but you get the idea of what I'm trying to say here. So, yeah, Hunchback of Notre Dame 2, yeah, that's one of those Disney direct-to-video sequels where you should just stay the hell away from it, because, yeah, it's not very good. So, with that said, let's break away from the Disney direct-to-video sequels for a little bit here and move on to our next movie, and that is Sacha Baron Cohen bringing his character, the Ali G show, to the big screen in Ali G in the House.
Ali G, that's me. This year, see Ali G like you've never seen him before.
So Ali G, played by Sacha Baron Cohen, unwittingly becomes a pawn in evil Chancellor David Carleton's plot, the Chancellor played by Charles Dance, to overthrow the Prime Minister of Great Britain, played by Sir Michael Gambon. However, instead of bringing down the Prime Minister, Ali is embraced by the nation as the voice of youth and realness, making the Prime Minister and his government more popular than ever. And that trailer I had to cut down because there's some stuff in there that I don't really think I can get away with here. I mean, even the little bit that I took from that trailer was just like, okay, maybe that's a little too much. Maybe I should cut that out because, yeah, this thing deserves its R rating. And as far as as a movie by Sacha Baron Cohen, it's definitely one of the lesser ones. I mean, I still think Bruno's probably the weakest one of the bunch, but this is probably the second worst one. I mean, it's not a bad movie per se. It just kind of reminds me too much of a little bit of Bean, except if Bean wasn't taking place in America. I mean, it's fine. Sometimes you get a good laugh here and there. The raunchy humor does work on occasion, but I mean, it's just an okay movie in general. There's nothing really about it that I would say is truly incredible. Nothing that made me laugh out loud. It's just like, if you've seen the Ali G show, you pretty much have seen everything that they can do in this movie. I mean, it doesn't really up the ante compared to what the show did. I mean, it was on HBO here in the U.S., but, I don't know. For what it is, it's fine. Nothing too spectacular, nothing too amazing, but a good fun time all around here. Definitely one of the lesser Sacha Baron Cohen movies, easily. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Stolen Summer.
From the writers and producer of Good Will Hunting, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and Chris Moore.
This is where my quest starts.
Stolen Summer.
This film is most notable for being the first film taken from Project Greenlight to become a movie, and you follow the story of an 8-year-old Catholic boy growing up in the suburbs of Chicago in the mid-1970s attending Catholic school. Where his classes let up in the summer, he's admonished by a nun to follow the path of the Lord and not that of the devil. Perhaps taking the message a bit too seriously, he decides it's his goal for the summer to help someone get into heaven, having been told that Catholicism is the only sure path to the kingdom of the Lord. Pete decides to convert a Jew to Catholicism, I think I'm saying that right, in order to improve the standing in the afterlife. Hoping to find a likely candidate, he begins visiting a nearby synagogue where he gets to know Rabbi Jacobson, who responds to Pete's barrage of questions with good humor. Pete's also making friends with the rabbi's son, Danny, who's about the same age, and he learns that Danny is seriously ill. He decides Danny will be an excellent choice for conversion. When the priest at Pete's church informs Pete that all will be tested before they pass the pearly gates, he sets up a mini decathlon to put Danny in training as he attempts to reshape his spiritual thinking. Pete's parents aren't sure just what to make of Pete's new summer project as they become acquainted with Rabbi Jacobson. They share their perspectives on the unexpected trials of parenting. The film's casting department considered the casting of the Jewish kid Adie Stein as the Catholic Peter O'Malley an ironic joke to the characters attempting to convert a Jewish boy to Catholicism. And I can't really complain about say the same thing. I can't really say that they're not wrong on that. But as far as the film itself goes, it's not an Oscar bait type of film where it's a cliched little mess, but certainly isn't a great movie by any means necessary. I get what they're trying to do here. There are some interesting ideas here and there, and sometimes the casting can work very well. I like seeing Bonnie Hunt doing something a little bit outside of her normal shtick that she usually does. Kevin Pollak I thought was really good as Rabbi Jacobson. Aidan Quinn's pretty good in the movie too. It's a decent film, but nothing I would say is a classic by any means necessary. But if you want to see something from the Project Greenlight guys that actually made it to the big screen, I think one or two of their movies actually made it, if I'm not mistaken. We'll get to the other one with The Battle of Shaker Heights in 2003. But other than that, though, Stolen Summer's not bad. Not great either, but it's fine for what it is. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Tarzan and Jane. Back to the Disney direct-to-video sequels we go.
Disney's Tarzan captured our imagination and carried us away to a world of adventure. The story continues in an all-new movie. Starring your favorite characters. Disney's Tarzan and Jane, premiering only on Disney DVD and video. July 9th, 2002.
I hope you enjoyed the intro to the Legend of Tarzan series. The trailer was literally nothing but the opening of the Legend of Tarzan, which I do remember watching the show a little bit, and I didn't mind it so much. I thought the intro was the best thing about it, quite honestly. But yeah, remember when I said that there was going to be some Disney direct-to-video films that were literally just episodes of the show rehashed into a movie? This right here. After being married an entire year, Jane thinks back of some of her and Tarzan's adventures as she searches for someone special to mark the occasion with. That's it. That's really all the movie is. I mean, the biggest problem with the movie is that it's just that. They sold it as a straight-up sequel when it's just a preview of the TV show. I mean, the show was already on the air when this came out. I mean, this was a film that was just kind of like... I mean, they did a similar thing with Hercules. When the Hercules show came out, they had the Zero to Hero movie, which came out a year after the animated series premiered. And this was being sold as the official sequel to Tarzan. I mean, it was one of their biggest hits and one of the biggest mismarketing attempts Disney had ever done. Or I take that back, because they had some notable false advertisements with The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast that you could easily look up, like There's the one for The Little Mermaid where King Triton fights Ursula, and he doesn't do that in the movie. In fact, he loses the battle before it even begins. And then with Beauty and the Beast, there was a ton of those ads that were completely false advertising. The movie isn't bad per se, but it definitely is an obvious cash grab. And we did eventually get a sequel, which in turn was actually a prequel a couple years later down the road, which is better, but what we get here is just okay, I guess, with the show hard to find nowadays, and I guess this is the best way you can watch some of those episodes. I mean, it's nothing amazing, it's nothing incredible, but if you remember the original Legend of Tarzan series, you'll probably enjoy it for what it is. But yeah, other than that, though, I really don't have much more to say about this, honestly. It's just kind of a letdown altogether when you really look at it, so let's go ahead and take a look at another direct-to-video movie, not by Disney, but Sony. Sony entered the direct-to-video game this time around with Kermit Swamp Years.
Jim Henson Home Entertainment. Every tadpole has a tale. Every frog has a first adventure. Come home to the swamp where it all began. Discover a Kermit you never knew as he discovers a new world for the very first time. On the adventure that changed his life and ours forever. Kermit's Swamp Years.
I mean, technically Disney does own the Muppets now, but this is one of the few things that Sony still has the film rights to. And you have a young Kermit and his best friends who travel outside their homes in the swamps of the Deep South to do something extraordinary with their lives. And if you told me that this was a prequel to the Kermit the Frog that we know, I would have never guessed it, because they did not do anything completely different to make this Kermit look anything different compared to the other Kermit. I mean, the only thing that looks different about him is that his eyes are a little bit closer and his face looks a little bit condensed down, unlike the original Kermit. But other than that, though, there's nothing really all that different between this Kermit and the Kermit that we know and love today. And I think that's the biggest problem with the movie itself. It's kind of a mediocre, pointless story altogether. None of the characters are really all that memorable. You don't really get a sense that this is a young Kermit the Frog. I mean, it still feels like the Kermit the Frog that we know today. And nothing about the movie really feels that engaging or interesting. I mean, I'll give it this. It was putting more effort into this than they did with something like Adventures in Elmo and Groucho Land or Muppets from Space, where they actually took their time to actually make something out of it. But other than that, though, there's not really much more I can say about this one. It's fine, I guess, but I don't know. For a prequel starring Kermit the Frog, you kind of expect a little bit more creativity, at least in the way that you try to distance the young Kermit to the older Kermit. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me nitpicking a little bit here. But other than that, though, that's more than I can say about this film. So back to some direct-to-video Disney films. Here's Mickey's House of Villains. The second of the two House of Mouse movies that came out over the span of a year in 2001 and 2002, except this time around it's Halloween night, and the House of Mouse and a lot of villains show up, and Jafar has a trick up his sleeve with the usual heroes, but the villains have to wait until midnight to do it, and they show the cartoons, and then essentially they take over the House of Mouse, changing it to the House of Villains, and I think you can pretty much figure out what the rest of the movie is basically. If you saw the Magical Christmas one, you get pretty much the same thing here, a mix of both the original classic Mickey Mouse cartoons mixed in with the cartoons from Mickey Mouse Works, and really not much more I can really say about this one that really isn't in the last movie. I mean, it's cool to see all the villains together into one movie, which I think is a fun idea, and seeing Mickey going up against Jafar at the end is kind of a fun concept overall, but other than that, though, I mean, it has a lot of the same problems that Tarzan and Jane has. It promises itself as an original movie, but most of the time, half of the stuff is recycled animation from the past. I mean, that's really all I could say about it. But again, it is kind of cool to see all the villains together in this one movie. I mean, that makes it kind of fun in the long run. But yeah, I mean, if you like the House of Mouse, like I remember watching it when it was on the Disney Channel a lot back in the day, mostly because it wasn't on my ABC affiliate at the time. I mean, it's fine for what it is, but again, I didn't think it really left much of a lasting impact on me personally, but I could see why it has this loyal fan base. I mean, it would be, I mean, I really think I agree with everybody else. Why isn't House of Mouse on Disney Plus? I mean, what are they really trying to hide for the fact that this isn't on Disney Plus for no reason whatsoever? But I don't know. I don't know why it's not on Disney Plus. Disney Plus, get on that, man. I mean, it's been almost 5 years now. I mean, come on. But yeah, not much more I could say to this one. It hasn't already been said already. So that is Mickey's House of Villains. So let's go to another direct-to-video sequel that promotes itself as an all-new full-length original film, which is not exactly. That's Winnie the Pooh in a Very Merry Pooh Year.
This fall, premiering only on Disney DVD and video. Winnie the Pooh and all of his friends in a brand new full-length adventure. Disney's Winnie the Pooh, a Very Merry Pooh Year. Come along as we take a sneak peek at the family holiday event of the season. This special full-length movie is a heartwarming journey of lifelong friends. Learn the value of resolution.
Resolutions. It's a promise to be a better person in the new year.
Share the spirit of Christmas and New Year's with the ones you love, featuring newly recorded holiday songs. Join the celebration of friendship. We are going to bring Christmas to everyone in Disney's Winnie the Pooh, a Very Merry Pooh Year. Coming November 12th, 2002.
So kind of like with Seasons of Giving, this is kind of a rehashing of various things. But unlike Seasons of Giving, which was literally a rehashing of various things, like the Winnie the Pooh specials, the Thanksgiving special, and a couple of episodes of the TV show, they rehashed the Winnie the Pooh Christmas special, Winnie the Pooh and Christmas 2. Except in this case, they play the special as it is, except that Christopher Robin's not the same voice actor from the original version of it. They actually redubbed his voice, which, to be fair, he's not in it for a whole lot, but it's still very noticeable when you really think about it. But they do add another short here, which is Happy Pooh Year, which is basically where Winnie the Pooh and the gang, they decide that, you know, to kind of get off Rabbit's case for a little bit here, they basically decide to try new personalities. So, Pooh basically vows to never eat honey again, Piglet agrees to be brave, Tigger vows to not bounce anymore, and Eeyore promises to be more positive, and they basically have these situations where they switch personalities. I mean, Pooh literally becomes gloomy and downbeat like Eeyore, Piglet becomes zany and bouncy like Tigger, Eeyore develops a taste for honey, Tigger becomes paranoid like Piglet. I mean, a clever, fun idea overall when you really look at it, and I mean, I'll give them credit for at least some originality to it, and like I said, it's better than the other movie, mostly because it does do stuff that's different from the last movie. And you also get kind of a sneak preview of Carly Simon's music that she brings into the upcoming Pooh theatrical films, because this is the first time you hear her involved with a Pooh production, and she would be involved with Piglet's big movie and then later Pooh's Heffalump movie. So there is that as well. So overall, it's a good, fun little film. I mean, it definitely has a lot more to offer than Seasons of Giving, but and again, most of the Pooh movies have something fun to give to the audience that's watching them. So, yeah, not much more to say about that one. Winnie the Pooh, A Very Merry Pooh Year. So let's go ahead and take a look at the last movie here. Welcome to Collinwood.
Lead a life of crime. You better know what you're doing. Critics are calling Welcome to Collinwood a must-see movie. 4 out of 4 stars. Who knew crime could be this funny? The most delightfully daffy crime comedy since Fargo. Hilarious. and the funniest film of the year. I think I'm gonna be sick. Welcome to Collinwood.
Why are you dressed like a priest? You're an idiot.
So this movie is notable, obviously, for one particular reason, that it's directed by two guys named Anthony and Joe Russo, who you may know pretty well nowadays because they've directed episodes of Arrested Development and various other TV shows, but they've also directed some of the biggest blockbusters of the last decade, including Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Captain America: Civil War, Avengers: Endgame, Avengers: Infinity War. So these guys have evolved since this movie came out, and the plot of this movie concerns a group of small-time thieves and misfits from the Collinwood neighborhood of Cleveland who attempt to carry out a major theft from a jeweler's apartment sale. And you see a cast that includes William H. Macy, Isaiah Washington, Sam Rockwell, Michael Jeter, Louis Guzman, Patricia Clarkson, George Clooney, Jennifer Esposito, Gabrielle Union, a stacked cast overall in this film. And, it's a pretty underrated little gem. It's a film that I don't think a lot of people really know exists, especially when you consider the big cast that it has here. I mean, George Clooney is in this film, and nobody even knows what it is. And the film overall is legitimately funny. I really went into it not expecting a whole lot, but it's pretty good. It's a really little good underrated gem of a film. I mean, it's a movie that is very funny, very clever at times, can be very silly when it needs to be, and I think it works pretty well for what it's trying to accomplish here. It's a shame that nobody went to see it the first time around, but I think if you want to see some more of the, considering what the Russo brothers have done since then, I think it's really interesting to go back and see how it all began for them, because they did a pretty good job of handling this. I think this is a criminally underrated film that definitely deserves a lot more attention. I highly recommend checking it out. Welcome to Collinwood. Definitely seek it out, because it is definitely worth the watch.
Sarah lived a life of wealth. Just lived life. But true love didn't hit them until they found each other. Are you okay?
Yeah, nothing on it.
Let me marry you.
No.
Welcome to the family, Tom.
Thank you. This is my gurney.
Oh, you can call me Pussy now.
Pussy.
You know, like a cat.
They're taking a vow
If you change your mind at the altar, just pass out.
to live together in perfect harmony.
Return to your seats, please. Be right out. And now, playtime is over.
If they can survive the honeymoon,
That plug won't fit in the European outlet.
I'll make it fit.
they can survive anything.
Get out!
Where are we going to stay, Tom? Oh, crud.
They're never gonna forget this honeymoon.
Great. Now we get free stuff.
Welcome to the honeymoon from hell.
So he cut our tape with a Chinese drill master.
Well, I hope he showed you how to pull a fire poker out of here.
I'm sorry. Honeymoons is supposed to be all camping and love making. Cockroach, cockroach, cockroach.
20th Century Fox presents
I feel like we've been married for 50 years.
Oh, you should be so lucky.
Ashton Kutcher,
I just need to talk to her.
Go away now.
Brittany Murphy,
Call the cops.
Bring 'em on.
Mine's one strong gate. Just married.
Hi, Mom. It's Pee-wee.
Say hi to Pussy for me.
So for anyone out there that was ever wanting to ship Kelso from Lat 70 Show and Luann from King of the Hill into something, this movie's got you covered. They star as obviously a young newlywed couple who just got married. They're from different social classes, and they decide to take a honeymoon to Europe, where of course chaos and hilarity ensue as obstacles challenge their ability to sustain in marriage. Now, on paper, this thing seems like a really bad idea. A film that could easily just be one of those romantic comedies that comes and goes and just doesn't really amount to anything when it's all said and done. But I think there's two things in particular that kind of carry this movie through, where I feel like it works well enough for what it is. One is the couple, Ashton Kutcher and Brittany Murphy. Ashton Kutcher was kind of establishing his film career after starting off, breaking out with of course, that 70s Show, and then Dude, Where's My Car? And he's been in a couple of other movies since then. But this was Brittany Murphy's first real chance to show her potential as a leading actress, because she'd follow this up with a couple of other movies, Uptown Girls later in the year, and then Little Black Book the following year. And it works because the chemistry between them does feel legitimate. Like, you can definitely believe that these two would be a couple, and they do work off each other very well. They're very funny, they are very charismatic, you understand that their situation they're going through is very unusual, and having all these different obstacles in the way, like, it really does work to the film's advantage, because the actors really are giving it their all here. And the other thing that I think helps the movie through is the writer and director. This is directed by Sean Levy, who is that type of director that you look at some of his movies and you think, well, that's dead on arrival, but no, he actually puts in more effort than you think, that makes for a very entertaining film in general. Like the last film he directed, Big Fat Liar, which is a film that probably should have been dead on arrival, but they have the good stars in there, Frankie Muniz and Amanda Bynes, and it makes for a very entertaining and fun film. I mean, Sam Harper, one of the guys who, the writer of this, wrote Rookie of the Year, a criminally underrated Daniel Stern movie he directed with Thomas Ian Nichols from the American Pie movies. And these two would later reunite again on Cheaper by the Dozen, which are films that could easily fall apart, but they kind of are very fun in their own unique way. Like the Cheaper by the Dozen movies are a lot better than I think a lot of people give him credit for. A lot of his movies he's made as a director have been fun films. I won't say classics by any means, but they're good, fun, entertainment movies. They're kind of like Peter Segal movies. Like, Peter Segal makes some really good comedies, but nothing real, with a couple of exceptions. Tommy Boy, I think, is probably his best film overall, but he makes movies that are genuinely entertaining and very rarely misses on the films that he makes. Like, Sean Levy, I think his biggest overall misfire was The Internship, but that was a movie that was just, it was a movie that was basically just Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson are old, and they don't know how technology works and Google and all that stuff, and that was literally all that movie was, and it failed on a number of different levels. But this, it works fine for what it is, because it's a simple story. It's a simple story where you have these two really good, charismatic, comedic actors and actresses who can really work off each other here. Not every joke works. I mean, you saw there, I cut a little bit of Stewie's fake laugh from Family Guy whenever they were just like, oh, call me pussy, you know, like the cat. It's like, like jokes like that really don't work all that well. Although they do find a way to kind of make it funny at the end there. I do like that little bit there where Ashton Kutcher's just like, say hi to pussy for me. And he's just giving this disgusting look on his face like, what the hell did I just say? Like stuff like that. They can find a way to make some bad jokes actually do kind of work. I mean, like I said, not a lot of the jokes work here, but the biggest thing I think works to the film advantage is that it's short. It's only just a little bit over an hour and a half long. It doesn't feel like it's padding anything out. It's not adding in elements that don't make a whole lot of sense or feel purposely it feels like they're unnecessarily in there. I mean, it's a movie that comes in, delivers what it needs to do, and gets on out. And I think that's more than enough to give this movie a recommendation to say that it's fun for what it is. It's a fun film. It's a really enjoyable film. A lighthearted romantic comedy with two really good performances overall. Again, not a lot of the jokes really work. The story is kind of predictable at best, but I've seen a lot worse. I mean, I would rather watch this than something like the more successful comedies from the year before, like rom-coms, Sweet Home Alabama, Made in Manhattan. I'd rather watch this again over those movies again any day of the week, because I at least got some laughs out of this movie, and and it delivers what it promises. It's a film that is very entertaining. It's a fun film. Considering that it was a January dumping movie, the fact that I'm saying that it's a good movie is saying a lot. Because most movies that were released in January around this time usually are dump movies that the studios don't believe in, but they put it out here because there's literally nothing opening up after the Christmas season, and so they need films to open up, and most times than not, they were more misses than hits. I mean, I think we're going to get to one of the biggest misfires of this type of movie next week with Kangaroo Jack, if I'm not mistaken. But this was a fun film. This is a fun, enjoyable film. I do recommend it. If you go into it knowing that it's going to be a predictable romantic comedy, but it works well because the two leads are really giving it their all, I think you can definitely go into it and have a good time with it. I think it's a really enjoyable film. Good fun time. Just married. I liked it. Effing January, man. Effing January. That's the only reason why this movie made any money, was because it was released in January. Because you put this out in the summertime, you put this out in any other time except for January, maybe late August, maybe Labor Day weekend, this thing would not have made any money whatsoever. But it's put out in January, and let's talk about the history of this movie before we actually delve into it. We kind of already have talked about it in other episodes, but this film was originally titled Down and Under, and it was shot as a mob comedy in the style of Midnight Run. Started shooting back in August of 2001, lasted about 6 months, included cursing, sex, and violence. However, the film's producers were dissatisfied with the first rough cut of the film. Because of the positive response to the kangaroo scenes in early test screenings, and because Snow Dogs had just come out and was a massive success, the producers shifted the marketing focus of that away from a dark mafia comedy to a family-friendly animal picture. Extensive new footage that replaced the animatronic kangaroo with a new CGI one that was wrapped was shot. The film was edited down to a PG family animated comedy, and the rest is history, or infamous history, if you will. The plot of the movie is that two childhood friends who are now grown up get caught up with the mob and are forced to deliver $50,000 to Australia, but things go awry when the money is lost to a wild kangaroo. The kangaroo being the title character of Kangaroo Jack, and do I really need to tell you anything more about this movie? Just for that trailer alone, everything that you know about this movie, you already saw from that trailer, and it's not good. It is not good at all. The humor is not funny. I don't know who these positive test screenings were, but I feel like I need to go and find these people and give them a good slap across the face, because what the hell were you thinking when you said that? And I really got nothing for you. When you waste people like Christopher Walken and Michael Shannon and give them nothing to do, you have completely missed the point of why your movie exists. If you're not going to have those two guys do anything of value whatsoever and put the attention on this stupid kangaroo that does nothing but just make silly noises. Like, he's the film equivalent of dangling your keys in front of a crying baby, trying to get it to shut up and actually be happy. That's what this movie is doing every time that kangaroo is on screen. Like, he's not there for any other reason except to shut your kids up. It's just like, well, look at the kangaroo, I'm having a good time. And yeah, I'm pretty sure no kid had a good time with this movie. But it was a hit. And again, it's because it was released in January. It made it back its budget, but again, January, they made a sequel, but an animated sequel, but still, they made a sequel, and I really got nothing else for you, man. I mean, I think that trailer pretty much tells you every reason why you should avoid this movie like the plague. Yeah, avoid this movie like the plague. And if you needed another reason, excessive fart jokes, lazy humor, insulting the Looney Tunes. They do that too. This movie's horrible, plain and simple. So with that said, let's go ahead and get away from this movie. Let's get back to some positive January films. Here's a movie that I think gets unfairly criticized. Martin Lawrence and Steve Zahn in National Security.
Sorry, thank you. Oh, God! Stop the damn car! You realize that you missed the target in the middle.
Who, the breath? Look at him, surrounded by 4 white guys with guns. The man is terrified.
Put him down. In a minute or two. Don't hurry.
That's the security! Get out of the damn car!
Didn't your mama teach you any manners? At least you could ask me nicely.
What's the difference between me and you? What's the difference? You're insane! And you're resisting arrest.
So in this movie, you have Martin Lawrence and Steve Zahn as two LAPD rejects. One just got kicked out, the other can't get in. After confronting each other on opposite sides of the law during a traffic stop that escalates out of control, these individuals end up partnering as lowly security guards. Despite being damned to the lowest rung of the law enforcement ladder, Earl and Hank uncover a sophisticated smuggling operation led by Nash and his band of thugs. When Earl and Hank get their hands on some hot property, they go on the run from first the bad guys and the LAPD, led by Lieutenant Washington and Detective McDuff. When these two unlikely partners due to law enforcement is a crime, but they just might save the day. That is, if they don't kill each other first. And that's one of the reasons why I really like this movie. I mean, the trailer gives you kind of an idea of why this movie works. This has got some pretty damn good slapstick comedy, man. I mean, I was laughing pretty hard trying to keep my cool watching that trailer again. I mean, I've seen this movie numerous times, and the jokes and the slapstick in this humor between the two of them just wanting to beat the shit out of each other is absolutely amazing, and I friggin' love it, man. I love this movie. I mean, I think it's a funny film. Not every joke works, not everything about it works to a point, but you can kind of figure out what's going to happen at the end. Who's going to be working for the bad guy? Who's undercover for working for the bad guy? But the film knows exactly what it's trying to do. It just wants to make you laugh, and for that, I got to give him a lot of credit for that, because this is a really funny movie. And like I said, it works because you just like seeing Martin Lawrence and Steve Zahn wanting to beat the ever-loving crap out of each other. They hate each other so much that they're willing to punch each other in various times during the course of the film. That's just like, how can you not enjoy that, man? I mean, I friggin' love this movie, man. I think it's hilarious. I think it's great. I think it's a very underrated film. Maybe great's a strong word here. It's a good movie. I enjoyed it a lot, so I recommend it for a good, fun time. For a January film, that's all you can ask for it, quite honestly. So with that said, let's move on to the next movie, and a movie that's not quite as fun, but certainly not as bad as Kangaroo Jack. Let's talk about a guy thing. IMDb, I think, sums this up pretty nicely. When he wakes up the morning after his bachelor party in bed with a strange woman, a man presumes he must have cheated on his fiancée. Guilt leads him to try to cover it up the week before the wedding. Hijinks ensue. That's pretty much what the movie is, and not really good. I mean, this is why I gave a lot of credit to Just Married, because they took a predictable storyline and actually made something interesting out of it, and had two really good actors who really could carry the load here, with at least that film, Just Married. But in this movie, yeah, not so much. I mean, I like Jason Lee, I like Julia Stiles, I like Selma Blair. They should work together here, but you don't really buy the chemistry all that much. And I think the rewriting of the movie, you can definitely tell this was rewritten several times by somebody who was just trying to find something different instead of doing the same movie over again. But they just ran out of time to do it and just said, fuck it, let's just put it out like it is. And lo and behold, this is the film we got. And I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what to say about it. I think the leads are too talented for a script like this, and even if they can't make it work, then the film can't work in any way, shape, or form. And that really hurts the film in the long run here. These leading actors who are very, very good can't save the overall final product when it's all said and done. Like, if I can't buy into the chemistry, then what the hell am I even here for? Honestly. I mean, not much more I can say about this one. A guy thing. So with that said, let's go ahead and wrap it up with the overall best movie of the entire week, and I don't think there's any question about it. Fernando Morales' City of God.
18 miles from paradise, on the world's coolest streets. Two warring crime lords fight to control the city. Now, for one reporter, the only way out is to expose the story everyone wants to hide. Roger Ebert calls City of God one of the best films you'll ever see. Now it's nominated for 4 Academy Awards. City of God, rated R, now playing select cities.
So City of Gods tells the story of it. It's adapted originally from a 1997 novel of the same name, but it's also loosely based on the real events, depicting the growth of organized crime in the suburb of Rio de Janeiro between the end of the 1960s and the beginning of the 1980s, with the film's closure depicting the war between the drug dealer Lil Z and vigilante-turned-criminal Knockout Ned. The tagline of the film is, "If you run, the beast catch you. If you stay, the beast eat you." So in other words, in any way, shape, or form, the beast is going to screw you up in any way, shape, or form. And this film was very successful. It was nominated for 4 Academy Awards. Did not get a Best Foreign Language Film nomination, surprisingly, but it's often been considered one of the greatest movies of the 21st century and one of the best movies of all time, and has actually led to a spin-off TV series called City of Men, which actually was spawned off into its own movie at the same time. One of the most notable things about this movie is that it's shot on 16mm to give you kind of this guerrilla-style filmmaking type of thing. And usually when they do that, it's usually to help the budget overall, so you can actually do more things with the budget overall. Just kind of like what they did with, what's the Peter Jackson movie? Brain Dead, I think it was. Brain Dead or Dead Alive? Now I need to know. Yeah, Brain Dead. He did it so that they could use the $3 million budget on extensive gore effects. And it's a practice that's been used in a lot of movies. Moonrise Kingdom did it. Leaving Las Vegas did it. TV shows have done it. Sex and the City. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The Hurt Locker used those cameras to utilize a lot of multiple camera shots from many different elements of the film. Even more recently, First Man, Mother, Da 5 Bloods, the Spike Lee film. I mean, it's a common practice, but in a film like this, it definitely shows what that type of technology can really do in a situation like this movie. And I think the film does a very good job of handling that. You get invested in the characters, you get invested in the storyline. It's a really good film that it's very well made overall. It's a beautiful looking film that isn't afraid to get tense when it really needs to. The drama is very good. Everything about the film overall, I think, is very, very solid. It's a well-made film. A very entertaining movie. You can definitely see why it's considered a classic as one of the definitive films of the 21st century. I think it's a very well-made film. I highly recommend it. City of God. Definitely check it out.
Who will come in the light? Who? You know who?
You save in the light.
You stay in the light or you stay alive?
Until darkness falls.
Don't let them put him in the dark.
Darkness falls. Rated PG-13. In theaters January 24th.
So the plot of Darkness Falls revolves around Kyle Walsh, played by Cheney Clay. Even that name sounds stupid. Cheney Clay. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. That's how much I don't give a crap about this movie. Who witnesses his mother's murder at the hands of a vengeful spirit lynched by an angry mob more than 150 years ago. 12 years later, Kyle returns to his childhood home because Michael Green, played by Lee Cormie, the younger brother of romantic interest Caitlin, played by Emma Caulfield, is being stalked by the same spirit. Kyle must protect them from this powerful enemy and put an end to his killing spree. You can't really talk about this movie in particular without delving into the troubling production history, and this had a troubling production history indeed. Specifically, the fact that this movie was originally intended to have Doug Jones play the Tooth Fairy, and instead of having him, they basically just created a creature that, I mean, to be fair, can look intimidating at times, but when you actually see what this thing can do in the movie and what this thing's capable of, you suddenly lose a lot of the intensity of the film overall when it's said and done. But not only that, this was one of those movies that was completely screwed over, mostly from the editing process. The film wanted to establish that Kyle Walsh was more explicitly troubled while keeping the actual existence of the Tooth Fairy vague and undefined in order to make audiences question whether Kyle was actually the killer or not. Matilda Dixon was also established being a younger widow with a husband who was lost at sea rather than an older woman as depicted in the final film. In fact, the trailers have her set up as a young woman. I mean, that trailer I just showed you had her as a young woman. I mean, after completion, the producers truncated the film down. The final cut removed character backstory, which, who needs that in a horror movie? I mean, why should we give a crap about these characters, says the studio executives. as well as expanded details on the Darkness Falls curse that made the film much more upfront and explicit with the Tooth Fairy as the main antagonist, rather than any suggestion that Kyle may be the killer. Which, I mean, why would we want to do that? I mean, look what happened with Nightmare on Elm Street 2 when they made Jesse the killer. I mean, clearly nobody wanted to see that. I mean, it was completely different altogether, even though the fact he was completely possessed by Freddy Krueger in that film. But who cares if that made that film much more intriguing and more interesting overall? No. This is January, motherfuckers. We're gonna make as terrible of a horror film as you can get, and make it the most generic, the most pathetic, and the most laziest movie you will ever see. I mean, this is a horrible movie. First of all, the romantic interest, his younger brother. This kid looks like he's literally under the age of 10 years old. She looks like she's 24. How the hell does that even work out that she and her are related as brother and sister? I mean, if you want to say maybe, like, I don't know, maybe you want to go the route of a teenage pregnancy, or just say he's a cousin. But nope, we got to say that he's a younger brother, because apparently that's more intimidating. And they did not do a good job of making Kyle likable whatsoever. I mean, yeah, he's unfairly is seen as the person that commits these murders, and like, he really is literally unfairly seen as the killer. I mean, right at the beginning of the movie, whenever she... Oh, excuse me. Had something in my mouth there. But anyway, where was I? Oh, back in when this kid sees his mother getting killed, the cops are automatically thinking that oh, he's on narcotics, he's on psychotic drugs and all that. But it's like, we never saw that at the beginning of the movie. Like, there was never any indication whatsoever this guy was whacked out on psychotics. I mean, later on, yeah, because of what happened, but not before this. I mean, these are the type of cops that would be the type of person that would be the type of people that would kill a black person without even... They would be the ones that would kill George Floyd, because it's a small town and they're always making the easiest things the easiest assumptions. Good Lord, I don't know why I can't get these words out here. I mean, maybe it's because I'm trying to get too much out to you guys, but I don't know. I don't know why I couldn't figure it out. I literally figured it out as soon as I stopped recording. But these cops would be the type of person that would have the earliest assumptions about somebody before they would even do anything. Like, they'd be the ones who'd be beating up George Floyd in Minnesota. I mean, that's how bad the cops are in this movie. They're just so stuck on one specific thing. Like, if anyone even tries to explain to them some common sense, they just push it off to the side and say, no, you're the crazy one, and we're going to keep that story because... Clearly, we live in a town called Darkness Falls. That's another problem with the movie. The movie's literally called Darkness... The town's literally called Darkness Falls. What the hell did you think was going to happen in a town like Darkness Falls? That would be like calling Elm Street. Don't call it Elm Street anymore. Just call it Freddy's Kingdom. Because Freddy Krueger rules that place, and anyone that gets in his way is going to literally get killed while they're sleeping. I mean, it'd be like calling Crystal Lake Jason Land, because that's where Jason Voorhees is. Like, see how stupid some of this movie is getting, the more and more I talk about it. And, oh yeah, they decided to change the rules halfway through the movie. Like, you know, the whole thing is that you gotta stay in the light. You gotta stay in the light. If you don't stay in the light, then the Tooth Fairy's gonna get you. These people stay in the light many times in the movie, and the Tooth Fairy decides to attack them anyway, because... Just because, I mean, because F you, that's why. You're sick, is like this. It's like the movie is literally telling you, you're the reason why is you decided to sit down for this, and so we're going to punish you by insulting your intelligence with a movie like this. But hey, I hope it was worth it to get to third base or second base. I hope it was worth it to get second base with your date that clearly is not going to talk to you again after you come out of this movie. I mean, if you went on a date when this movie came out, I'm sorry for you. I really do apologize, and I hope you've had a better life after that. But I mean, can you just? I'm rambling on here. I know I'm not really making a whole lot of sense here, but I'm sorry. This is a terrible movie. This is a really, really bad movie. There was a lot of potential there for what this movie could be, but the studio decided to cut it all down. Make it those pathetic and laziest film possible. I mean, we just talked about a bad movie that came out in '88, Bad Dreams, which was literally trying to be the next Freddy Krueger, the next Jason Voorhees. That one was at least trying to do something. This is not. This is a terrible film. A film that is so pointless. It's not, the only reason it exists is because it needs to open up on a weekend like this where literally nothing else opens up, and it could take all the money it wants to on that first weekend and then just get out of the way because nobody's going to talk about it the following week afterwards. And not surprisingly, nobody ever talks about this movie again because it made a lot of money on the first weekend, most notably the first day, and then nobody came back afterwards because why the hell would you want to go back to this movie in the first place? Have I got enough for you there? I think I've gotten enough for you there. Darkness Falls. This is about as bad of a horror film as you can get. So yeah, avoid this one like the plague. In fact, just avoid it altogether. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you. I'm gonna shut it off now.
You're the CIA. Would I have to kill anyone? Would you like to? His job was to recruit the best. Why me? You're agile, athletic. Now, slow. Find out who she's working for. She will bring him into a secret world. You can't trust anyone. Where nothing is what it seems. How did she know? You are caught. You're dead. Some of you will not survive its final test. See you January 31st.
So, Colin Farrell plays a brilliant young CIA trainee who's asked by his mentor, played by Al Pacino, to help find a mole in the agency. Among with them, you have Bridget Moynihan, as well as Gabriel Mock, Kenneth Mitchell, Chris Owens, Cara Pruner. And probably not a good sign when you show this to real FBI agents and they say that it's one of the most ridiculous things they've ever seen. No joke, the CIA actually has shown this movie to new CIA employees, and they have said that everyone in the agency believes the movie is ridiculous. Entertaining, but ridiculous. And that all the covert service trainees watching the film on the bus go into training for comic relief. And, like, it's really interesting that the CIA looks at this and says, this is goddamn ridiculous, man. But they at least say it's entertaining, and I guess I can't argue with them there. It is a legitimately entertaining movie, mostly because of the performances by Al Pacino and Colin Farrell, but it doesn't really do anything that significant or new to the spy genre in particular. It's just kind of a film that's just, it's there for the most part. It doesn't really amount to anything really significant when it's all said and done, and it's one you can kind of figure out what the big twist is going to be fairly early on, and because of that, the movie kind of stumbles in that way because of it, unfortunately. But I mean, it's not a bad movie, but certainly a film that could have been a whole lot better without everybody on board. A decent director in Roger Donaldson, even though James Foley was attached to direct at one point. But, I don't know. For what it is, it's fine for what it is, but nothing too significant to say that I think you should watch it. So, with that said, let's go ahead and get to a good movie this weekend, and that is the horror sequel, Final Destination 2. Speaking of things that are ridiculous and entertaining, I love how they show that as like one of the big moments of the movie. But that scene really plays out like like something out of a cartoon, a bad slapstick comedy. But this movie does have legitimately good moments in it. You have A.J. Cook, who plays a woman who cheats death after a premonition of herself and others perishing in a highway pileup, and uses it by saving herself and a handful of people, but is stalked by death afterwards by means of claiming back the lives which should have been lost in the highway. It also explores the cliffhanger of the previous movie by revealing the fates of the previous survivors. And you saw in that trailer, one of them was Devon Sawa. And that highway scene, by the way, is one of the best scenes I've ever seen in a horror movie. Like, the way that is, like, that scene in particular is so well shot, and so much of a scene that just gives you so much, like, you're gripping your own seat. I'm gripping my seat right now just thinking about it, because you've had those moments when you see something where, like, you see, like, a big thing of wood, or a big thing of, like, pillars sitting on a truck, and you're just scared that thing's gonna, one of those chains are gonna break, and it's gonna start rolling over and kill you, just like it does in this particular film. And Like, it's a scene that still is genuinely terrifying to this very day. I mean, it's a scene that is so well done. It gives this film more of an advantage than most horror films do. The death scenes in particular really are just so skillfully crafted and well thought out here. I mean, this is probably the best one of the series that actually manages to make that work, because after this, with Final Destination 3 and going forward, they get a little bit too predictable or a little bit too cheap for their own good. But here, this isn't just a sequel that's just there to have elaborate scenes of people getting killed off. They put the time and effort to put these scenes to good use, and it's just a good, fun time overall. It's a film that really does a great job of handling the elements of making a movie that's as good as the original film, if not better, and just upping the ante when it needs to the most. It's a film that is very tension-filled, really well done, especially that highway scene, which that could have easily been the thing that would have been the best thing of the whole movie, and the rest of it would have been crap, but you get so invested with everything else that's going on in it that you really got to give the movie its proper dues, because it's a film that really does a whole lot more than I think a lot of people give it credit for. It's easily my favorite film of the Final Destination series, and the one where we're kind of at the tipping point of that Final Destination roller coaster, because everyone after that, it's all downhill from there. But we're going to get to that one when we get to Final Destination 3 in about 3 years' time. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, which is a film that's also ridiculous, but unlike the last two films, it ain't entertaining. This is Biker Boys.
Like a man, see if you can ride like one. Lawrence Fishburne, Derek Luke, Orlando Jones, and Kid Rock. Biker Boys, we got our own rules. Biker Boys, PG-13, starts January 31st everywhere.
Behold the first of our many, many Fast and Furious knockoffs we're going to be getting at this point. This was the first one that was literally trying to capture the Fast and Furious bandwagon success, and even the poster itself looks like something out of a bad Fast and Furious movie. But this was actually based off of a New Times LA article of the same name, and revolves around a group of underground motorcycle drag racers and the intense rivalry between a legendary motorcyclist and a young racing protege who have formed their own biker club. Lawrence Fishburne, Derek Luke, Megan Good, Jaimin Hansu, Brendan Fair, Rick Gonzalez, Lawrence Tate, Terrence Howard, Orlando Jones, Sally Richardson, Kid Rock, Lisa Bonet, Vanessa Bell Calloway. A lot of notable names in this movie, but a lot of really bad names, too. Lawrence Fishburne plays Smoke. Derek Luke plays Kid. Orlando Jones plays Soul Train. There's a character named Motherland. There's a character named Queenie. Choo Choo, played by Terrence Howard. Dog, played by Kid Rock. Half and Half, played by Sally Richardson. Just names that are so ridiculously stupid, but it's okay, because the rest of the movie is just as ridiculously stupid as the names are. This is a terrible film, man. This is one of those movies that's trying to be like a so bad it's good type of movie, and even that's not that. Torque is more of a so bad it's good type of film, which is another Fast and Furious ripoff that we'll get to in about 1 year time. But this is just bad, man. I mean, it's not really that, and I mean, it's not really all that exciting when your biker club, this underground motorcycle drag racing biker club, does events for kids and all that. There's a scene where they literally have an event for kids in this movie. You know, just like, what the hell were they thinking when they were making this movie, man? It's just, they have like an annual dance or something. It's just like what is this? Like a high school dance. It's literally an annual dance for the Black Knights. It's just like, what kind of biker club owns a dance like that? Like when I think of biker clubs, I think of people going into bars, drinking their guts out, and punching people inside the bar, or just basically taking control over the bar. I don't think of them having events for kids or having these dances. It's just like, what the hell were you thinking, man? Just what the hell were you thinking? Like Jay Leno said to Hugh Grant, what the hell were you thinking? I mean, that's pretty much all I gotta say about this movie. What the hell were you thinking, Reggie Rock by the Wood? This is the guy that did Love and Basketball, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Is this the same director? Okay, maybe not. Maybe that's not the director I'm thinking of here. But he did write Get on the Bus, and he also wrote. He's written better stuff than this. He's written better stuff than this overall. I mean, he's written for stuff like A Different World. He's written stuff for New York Undercover. He wrote for Get on the Bus, like I said. He did Notorious. I mean, there's so many better things that he's done that makes you wonder, what the hell were you thinking when you agreed to this? Honestly. So, yeah, that's Biker Boy. So let's go ahead and wrap it up by taking a look at the last movie we have here, which is The Guru. As long as there's no Mike Myers or elephants humping each other, this is already a better movie than The Love Guru. You have a dance teacher played by Jimmy Mystery who comes into the United States from India to pursue a normal career, but incidentally stumbles into a brief but high-profile career as a sex guru. A career based off of philosophy he learns from a pornographic actress. That actress being Heather Graham, and you also have Marissa Tomei, who helps him reach his guru status among her socialite New York City friends. And, that's kind of the charm about this movie. This movie did The Love Guru better than The Love Guru did, which is amazing to think about. But it had a better cast overall. You have top actors around this guy who's making his debut as an actor. You got Heather Graham, Marissa Tomei, Michael McKean, Christine Baranski, Thomas McCarthy. Just a good cast overall, and they're doing a good job of working around this unknown actor. And the guy is actually not that bad overall as an actor. I think he has a pretty decent actor overall, Jimmy Mystery. He's been in some other things too. He's been in Ella Enchanted, The Truth About Love, Rock and Rolla. So he has been in some notable stuff. But I won't say the movie overall is perfect, but it's a film that definitely, it kind of reminds me, and I think somebody put a good review, I think Variety made a good point on this. It feels very similar to an old Blake Edwards movie called The Party with Peter Sellers in it. It feels like that type of a film if it was made in today's world, or 2003's world. But I mean, it definitely feels like that type of a movie that feels like a kind of an old school Blake Edwards movie made in the modern times. And at times, it definitely can be that way. Is it perfect all the way through? No, not really. I mean, there's definitely a lot of flaws to it overall, but it is an entertaining little film. It's a film that definitely realizes what it's trying to accomplish. It has more effort and credit going to it, and like I said, it does The Love Guru better than The Love Guru did, which is amazing to think about when it's all said and done. But, yeah, I would say I'd recommend The Guru. Just don't go in there expecting a comedy masterpiece, but you should get definitely get a better movie than The Love Guru with this film in particular. Just saying. But, with that said, though, that is The Guru.